Hello guys, welcome to Cinema Ultimate. Recently, there's a new Korean drama called Squid Game. This film is one of the Korean dramas released on Netflix on September 17, 2021. This Squid Game is an action thriller drama genre, where this film has 9 episodes in the other season. For this season, in this video, Cinema Ultimate summarized the Squid Game film briefly and clearly. This film, directed by Hwang Dong-hyuk, and played by a number of well-known Korean actors and actresses, one of which is Lee Jung-jae as the main character. The film Squid Game tells the story of desperate people with a difficult financial, who are willing to risk their lives to participate in a deadly game in order to earn a lot of money. The game was participated by 456 people, total prize of 45.6 billion won for the main winner. For that, participants must pass various obstacles in this game in order to win the main prize. So, just take a look at the following storyline. In the first episode, the film begins with the life of Song Gi-hun, played by Lee Jung-jae, a driver and gambling addict, who lives with his mother and struggles financially. Gi-hun has huge debt with moneylenders and is divorced from his wife. From his marriage, he has a daughter who lives with his ex-wife, with her new husband. His daughter is having a birthday and wants to give her a present, so Gi-hun is desperate to steal his mother's money and wants to multiply it by gambling on the horse race. However, when he won, he was chased by loan sharks. And to make matters worse, his gambling money was stolen by a girl who bumped into him while he was being chased by loan sharks. Reluctantly, Gi-hun signs a loan sharks agreement to pay off his debt, or else his organs will be taken by moneylenders. That night, Gi-hun invites his daughter to eat together to celebrate her birthday with minimal money. Then he came home. Gi-hun is completely hopeless and has no hope. However, while at the subway station, Gi-hun meets a well-dressed man. This man played by Gong-yoo. Gi-hun is asked to play Dakji for 100,000 won, but if he loses, he gets a slap in the face. He also followed him until he lost many times. But when he won, he also gets the 100,000 won. After playing, the man gives Gi-hun a business card and invites him to play more games for a bigger reward. Gi-hun goes home feeling happy. When he gets home, his mother talks to him and tells him that his daughter is going to America with her mother because her stepfather will work there, which means that it will be harder for Gi-hun to meet his daughter. After some thought, Gi-hun decides to call the number and participate in the game. In the evening, he was picked up by a mysterious man. He was rendered unconscious to the unknown location. The next morning, Gi-hun wakes up in a giant dormitory with a lot of beds like prison. He was already wearing a green tracksuit with participant number 456. He was along with 455 other players who wore the same outfit with the participant number on their respective outfits. The location is staffed by masked staff dressed in pink and overseen by frontman played by Lee Byung-hun, who is also masked in black. All the players are in the same financial predicament as Gi-hun, and some are even worse. And later, if they win, they will be given billions of won in prize if they succeed in participating in 6 matches for 6 days. Before the game starts, they sign an agreement in this game without any forces. Gi-hun starts to make a friend with player 001, an old man who has a brain tumor on his head. Then he recognized several people among the players, namely Cho Sang-woo. He was Gi-hun Jr. and was a talent student studying at SNU University. He became the pride of his environment. However, it is known that he instead works as the head of the investment team at the securities firm. Then the first game started. This game is called Red Light, Green Light, with a big doll from a distance near the finish line. The rules in this game are simple, but it's even more terrifying when you see those who lose are shot dead on the spot. Likewise, those who resigned were immediately shot. Gi-hun starts to get scared being so many people being shot dead. However, he is encouraged by Sang-woo to keep playing. When he almost fell, he was saved by player 199. And finally, he was able to finish the first game with several other players. After the time was up, those who didn't make it to the finish line were shot dead on the spot without exception. The first game is over. In the second episode, we are presented by 201 players who won the first game. More than half of the players were killed in the first game. Out of 456 people, 255 people were eliminated, leaving 201 people. However, some of the warriors begged to leave. Player 212 was the first to beg to be sent home, followed by the several other participants. They begged to stop the deadly game and commotion broke out before them until the game officer fired shot to stop them. Then the officer issued a sum of money with a value of 25.5 billion won. Based on the number of those who were eliminated, 255 people. That means each player is risking 100 million won. And the officer gave the opportunity according to Article 3 in the agreement. If they agree to quit the game, the money would be handed over to the family of those who died in the first game. Then they vote to make a decision, together with the button in front of them. Voting starts from the last remaining number, namely participant 456, Gi-hun. He chose not to continue the game, and then the 453 participants who choose to continue the game. Then followed by the other participants who chose one by one. Some continued, some didn't, until Sang-woo chose to continue the game. In the midst of voting, some participants made a fuss, because they felt lost if they came home with nothing, while those who were eliminated actually got 100 million per person. This made the officer look annoyed by him. Then his voting was resumed. A few moments later, the voting result remained tight until the participant in the determination was participant 001, the old man who suffered from a tumor on his head. And finally, the old man decided not to continue the game. Some of them seemed happy, while the rest were very disappointed and hoped the game would continue. However, because there was a decision, they were all finally sent back to their respective regions. After returning, Gi-hun goes to the police, but no one believes his story, instead making fun of him because there is no evidence. However, there is a detective named Hwang Jun-ho. It is known that his brother is also missing after receiving the same card as Gi-hun. In this episode, we are shown by scenes from their lives after the game. Gi-hoon is in financial trouble because it turns out that his mother needs medical treatment due to being diagnosed with diabetes. He has tried to borrow from his ex-wife, but his new husband actually insulted him and forbid him to meet his daughter. Then there is player 067, a North Korean defector who is in financial trouble because she wants to get her brother out of an orphanage and plans to smuggle her mother out of North Korea. Then player 199, who got into trouble for attacking his employer for withholding his wages. He was so upset, he had to take his employer's money and then planned to take his family away from Korea. Then Sang-woo, who is being wanted by the police for financial fraud. He has mortgaged his assets, so that makes him stuck and very frustrated. Then player 001, who feels he has nothing to live for because of a tumor on his head, so he wants to play on returning to the game. Player 101, a gangster who is on the run after tricking other gangster into being chased and jumping into the river. From these incidents, the game staff also gave the players the opportunity to continue the game. Due to the tight situation, they decided to contact the game organization team again to be picked up again. Then, they were ready to go to the game island. While Junho had asked Gi-hoon for help regarding this game info, but Gi-hoon refused until finally Junho secretly followed Gi-hoon when he was picked up by the game organizing staff. Junho set off to follow them to the game island. In the third episode, Junho is shown hiding among the mice staff as they travel to the game island. He killed one of his staff with ID number 29 and threw him into the sea. Then he put on a pink outfit so he could infiltrate the game location. In the morning, the players wake up in the big dorm again, and it turns out that many of them have gone home and come back to the game. This time, they were more prepared and started to form a team. Gi-hoon, Sang-woo, player 001, player 067, and player 199 join in. They gather together in the rush room because unexpectedly, most of the players actually returned, including player 212, who had first begged to live in the previous game. Later that night, when the staffs worked in the kitchen, player 067 sneaked into the fan and watched them. She was with player 212, who was smoking in the toilet at that time. Sang-woo knows it, tries to find out the second game on the player 067. And he can quickly identify the game, however, he didn't tell anyone including Gi-hoon. It only stores its own information. The second game, the players have to choose the stem shape of the dalgona cake. Sang-woo, who already knew it, didn't warn his teammates at all, and chose the simplest form for himself. As the second game begins, Sang-woo quickly finishes it. Unlike Gi-hun, this game is very difficult because it has the shape of a cake with the highest difficulty, which is an umbrella. Even so, Gi-hun tries to finish by licking the cake to melt it, and it turned out that it helped him so much than other players did it, including player 001. Meanwhile, player 212 helped player 101 finish the game with her smuggled matches. When the game is over, Gi-hun and several others escape to finish the game, while the rest are shot dead on the spot. The second game is over. In the fourth episode, it is shown player 111, a doctor. He cooperates with severe staff to extract organs from previous dead players. In exchange, he is given information of each game that is about to start. He joins Doksu's team by offering game info. The doctor tells Doksu about the next game until he finally realizes that the doctor can help their team in that match. It is known that the game staff intentionally caused discord among the players by reducing the amount of food. Therefore, Doksu kills another player, which caused the prize money to increase. After the light went out, riots erupted for a while and many players were killed. Sebyok joins Gi-hun's team, which protects her from Doksu gang. Before long, player 001 begged everyone to stop, and finally Frontman ordered his team to end the riot. The lights turned on. The room looked even more chaotic, with the number of people who died in it. Gi-hun and his team regroup as he talks and gets to know each other. Player 199 is Ali Abdul, and player 067 is Kang Sebyok. Player 001, who suffers from a brain tumor, appears to have difficulty speaking and remembering his name. Meanwhile, player 212, Han Min-yu, goes to the toilet asking Doksu to seduce her to tell her the next game. After that, the lights went out again. Junho, who is disguised as a game staff, hears the guard in the next room coughing in Morse code. The next day, in the third game, players were asked to form groups of 10 people. Doksu, knowing that the upcoming game is tug of war, choose a strong man and reject player 212, Han Min-yu, from his previous promise to tell him. Min-yu looks annoyed and joins Gi-hun's team of players. Gi-hun tries to find people to join his team, and when they had gathered with their respective team, Game 3 immediately began. They know that the game this time is more sinister than the previous game, where they will participate in a tug-of-war game. If they lose, they will fall down and die. In Season 1, the game starts from Team 1 led by Doksu against Team 7. Since Doksu already knows the game, he has prepared strong people, while the opponent does not. Long story short, they won this game while their opponent died as a result of losing and fell from the high of the game arena. Then, in the next season, Team 4 led by Sang-woo against Team 5 participant 001. The old man knows the game. He used a strategy to beat his opponent. Season 2 began. Gi-hun and his team worked hard to beat his opponent. Even though they almost lost, he tried to use all the strategies from the old man and then continue with Sang-woo's strategy. They put all their might in this tug of war game. In the 5th episode, Gi-hun's team won the tug of war in Season 2. They used player 001 and Sang-woo's strategies, but most of them were actually afraid of killing the opposing team. But what can they do? They have to win it so they don't lose and die in the 3rd game. After the match, they returned to their resting place. Gi-hun, worried about the riots that occurred earlier, forms a barricade. That night, Gi-hun's teammates take turn on guard but Doksu team doesn't attack. In the operating room, Juno learns about a conspiracy with a player 111 to harvest organs from dead players, which will later be sold on the black market. Player 111, who is a doctor, has a deal with corrupt workers. In the game, CCTV footage was deleted and some corrupt workers removed the organs from the bodies and transported them on a ship bound for land. Instead, player 111 is told what the next game will look like and given a distinct advantage. Player 111 does not receive any compensation regarding further game information. He was angry and killed one of the staff who conspired. Then he exits the room and walks to the windy hallway to the playground, up through the many doors and clearly visible on a number of different cameras. On the other hand, the task of Staff 29 turned out to be to take the organs to the black market's pick-up point. One of the corrupt officers tried to negotiate by removing the mask on his face. However, the conspiracy ended when 4 men found out, then arrest them and execute the rest of the members who had conspired, including player 111. They will also hang at the top of the steps of the game arena. Soon, Yoo-ho managed to trick the staff with him to deliver organs to the black market, then kill him. He also tries to break into Frontman's office and learns that the game has been running for more than 30 years. It is also known that his brother, Hwang In-ho, was the winner of the game in 2015. In the 6th episode, Juno, who is hiding, is being searched for by Frontman and the entire game organizing staff. Therefore, from man ordered his men to look for this intruder, so they had to wake up all the players who were sleeping, including the old man, who had a fever. The old man looked scared because he was urinating in his pants. Gi-hun, who couldn't bear to help the old man by covering his pants with his sports jacket to hide his wet patches. Shortly after the fourth game started, when the players come out the dugout, it was shown the player 111, the trouble doctor, and the conspiring god staff were dead and hung on the stairs on the remaining players to see. This is a warning that those who seek to gain an unfair advantage will be punished. Player 101, who saw it, fell silent. They rushed to the location of the next game. On the other hand, Jinho is in France's main file room, secretly taking photo of all the evidence in the archive. Then he hears a phone call and sees frontman coming to take a call in English. For the fourth game, players are asked to pair up. They start looking for a partner, and whenever two players agree to join, they had to shake hands to seal the deal. Sang-woo and Ellie then decide to work together, leaving Gi-hun behind, leaving Gi-hun looking for a partner. In the end, Gi-hun decides to team up with player 001, the old man instead. Then Sebyok with player 240. Due to the old number of players, player 212, Min-yu, is the last woman who doesn't have a partner. Sang-woo and Gi-hun are both reluctant to accept Min-yu. In fact, everyone left it alone. She screamed in terror and the guard took her away. The game is ready to start. In the game, they walk to a designated area. Each team is given a small bag containing 10 marbles in it. Everyone is told to play a game of marbles of their choice against their partner. And whoever gets all of their partner's marbles within 30 minutes win, and the rest are shot dead. Everyone who has teamed up with people they trust seems very painful because they inevitably have to beat their opponent. Player 101, Doksu, who almost beat his opponent, turned to beat him, thanks to the guard staff allowing him to choose another game that saved him. While Sebyok and player 250, Ji-young, agreed to play a simple game, but after talking about their lives, Ji-young decides Sebyok has more to live and let her win. Sang-woo, who is on the verge of losing, tries to trick Ali into letting go of his marble by exchanging them for a bag of stones, and he wins. While everyone gets to work playing a different set of games, player 001, the old man, refuses the game because he enjoys the area designed exactly like his old environment. However, Gi-hun begs him to play, yelling at the old man and hanging him tightly. In the end, they agree to play odd and even, although player 001 was quite indifferent about the whole affair, until finally Gi-hun lost to player 001 in that game. However, Gi-hun takes advantage of the old man with dementia, and he reluctantly defeats him. When there was only one marble left, the old man actually walked away from him. Gi-hun chases after him and loses his temper with the old man, which caused the pair to talk to each other. Player 001 reveals that he knows that Gi-hun has been tricking him the entire time, but still allows Gi-hun to win. Just before he left, Player 001 revealed his name was Oh Il-nam. Gi-hun walks away with all the marbles he has, tears running down his cheeks as gunshots are heard as he walks. The fourth game is over. The seventh episode, the cast returned to the dormitory and saw Miyu lying relaxed. It turned out that she was only brought back to the dormitory to wait for the next round because she did not have a partner. Player 069, who beat his wife in the game of marbles, looked very sad and wanted to stop playing the game, and that night he decided to commit suicide. Then go to the fifth game. Frontman sends an intruder in his office, knowing the receipt has been put back the wrong way. Now, Junho happens to be waiting in the basement, but luckily, Frontman receives a message from his underlying before he is able to locate the intruder. It turned out that they found a body on the north coast of the island. This is the corpse of the previous staff member that Junho killed, but Frontman finds Junho police ID, which led Frontman to believe that this is the intruder. VIP guests arrive, complete with masks, and were also welcomed into the building. Then, greeted by Frontman on behalf of his boss, the host. VIPs are investors who bet on the game. Junho is still in the ventilation of Frontman's office, hears what happened and tries to take the VIP worker's place so he can enter the VIP room. However, one of the VIP clients tries to ask him to have sex, but Junho tricks him. As the man takes off his shirt, Junho immediately points a gun at him and starts recording, demanding to know everything about the game. In the playing area, the fifth game starts immediately. The players are asked to choose a face with the number listed on the face. Then put on the appropriate face they choose, until there are two numbers left, namely number 1 and number 16. At first, Gi-hun wanted to take face number 1, but players 96 came begging Gi-hun to go first by giving face number 1. Then, Gi-hun gave it up and then chose face 16. The fifth game is to cross a bridge with a glass panel in 16 minutes, where the glass has tempered glass and normal glass, and each player is asked to jump forward to find out which one is correct. While the wrong jump will immediately fall down to death because of the height of the bridge. It didn't take long for player 96 to fall because he had to advance early in the game. The other then immediately stepped across the glass, taking turns jumping from left to right. With time running out, each player grew impatient, pushing those in front of them, from the religious player until they arrived at Doksu, who was already in front. He refused to take a step forward, and instead told the others behind him to come forward until he comes face to face with Minyu. Since Minyu has been disappointed with Doksu all this time, she decided to go ahead and take Doksu with her, dropping herself into the mirror in front of her. They fell down. The number 13 face knows the difference between glass and also seems to have known from the start. as he has had a job as a glass manufacturer. He had deliberately kept quiet earlier because he didn't want assassins like Doksu to advance in the game part. This was known to frontman as well as VIP. Therefore, with only one pane of glass remaining, the lights in the game arena were turned off. On the other hand, frontman sensed that something is up with the VIP client having sex. Remembers how long they've been in the room, so he sends help to find out where they are. It turns out that after Junho interrogated the VIP, he immediately knocked him out and fled the island with his scuba gear. Frontman who had seen him immediately chased after him with several of his men. In the game arena, player number 13 becomes difficult to guess the glass in front of him, while the impatient Sengbu took out his true teacher and pushed the player to the ground and died. Then Sengbu jumps toward the finish line, then followed by Sebyok and also Gihun, who just in time jumped quickly to the finish line. And the fifth game ends with a glass explosion behind him. VIPs are happy too. In episode 8, there are only 3 survivors in the game. The 3 return to the dormitory with many wounds on their bodies. As finalists, Gihun, Sengwoo, and Sebyok were rewarded with a change of clothes and a sumptuous dinner. Sebyok, who turns out to be hit by broken glass, tries to change clothes in the toilet and endures the pain throughout her dinner. They ate some toast dishes at a triangular table. Then, after eating, they were given a knife on their respective table, which means there would be a massacre between them. After the light go out, Gihun asks Sebyok to cooperate against Sengwoo, but Sebyok tells Gihun that she was injured in the glass bridge game earlier, and Sebyok asks Gihun to promise to help each other, who they love, if one of them wins the game. Sebyok injuries get worse, then Gihun runs for help. But when the staff arrives, Sebyok is dead. It turns out that Sengwoo took the opportunity to stab Sebyok with a knife while Gihun was away. The incident angered Gihun's heart. He also hates Sengwoo. Outside the game island, Junho, who was in pursuit of frontman, managed to get out of the island. He also did not forget to bring evidence and store it in his cell phone, which he put in a waterproof plastic. Because he saw several people chasing him, he immediately rushed to find a hiding place and tried to contact his co-workers to send enforcement nearby. He also did not forget to send an evidence of crimes that he got while on the game's island. Sunjo, who was found by a bad guys because he couldn't find another way. Frontman, who saw it, was forced to remove the mask on his face. Frontman reveals himself in front of Junho. How shocked Junho was, because the frontman turned out to be his brother, who had been missing all this time. With a heavy heart, Inho shoots Junho and let him fall into the sea. Junho really doesn't understand why his brother did that. In the 9th episode, the last episode of this film, we are shown the 6th game, which is the final game, the Squid game. The 2 remaining competitors in the final challenge are Sengwoo and Gihun. They will play Squid and both will be either on the side of the attacker or the guard respectively. Gi-hun chooses to attack, and the VIPs watching from above. From men insist this game is the most violent since childhood. The sixth game begins. It prepares a strategy to be ready to fight in this game. Gi-hun, who is already furious, angrily attacks Sang-woo with greed in his eye. While it was raining in the middle of the field, Gi-hun also used a knife to attack Sang-woo to win this game. However, Sang-woo managed to grab Gi-hun's knife and throw it away. Then he attacks Gi-hun with his knife. Gi-hun, who was already emotional at the time, hit back at Sang-woo. They attack each other until Gi-hun is defeated by Sang-woo by stabbing him several times. Unable to stand it, Gi-hun bites Sang-woo's leg and pulls him out. Gi-hun seems to want to stab Sang-woo, but he decides against it. He keeps Sang-woo alive, while Gi-hun walks toward the finish line, but he couldn't get past it. Instead, he decided to enforce the rule of three to end the game here. By doing so, this meant that he gave up the prize money completely in order to save his friend. However, Sang-woo forced his hand to grab a knife, stabbing himself in the neck. Then asks Gi-hun to help his mother before he dies. After he does, Gi-hun wins and the game is over. After returning from the game location, Gi-hun's eyes are closed and he sits in the car with frontman In-ho. Mention how the game is similar to Gi-hun's bet on horse racing. Gi-hun was also curious about the person who spoke to him at that time. Then Gi-hun is knocked unconscious and pushed him out of the car with an ATM card containing Gi-hun's winning prize money from the game. Then Gi-hun checks the money on the ATM card with his PIN number 0456. He withdraws 10,000 won and leaves the rest Gi-hun stopped by his old neighborhood and also finds Sang-woo's mother. Sang-woo's mother gives some mackerels to Gi-hun, but he remains silent because he cannot tell the heartbreaking news about his son's fate. Gi-hun comes home, where he finds his mother laying on the floor. Despite doing everything he could for her, his mother had passed away. He hung her, struggling to hold back tears as he mourned his mother passing. 1 year later, Gi-hun turns colder and seems to have no purpose in life even though he has a lot of money. Before long, he was called to meet the bank manager. This bank manager wants to try to help Gi-hun grow his financial assets, but Gi-hun doesn't. It is known that he had not touched the remaining money he won, and instead he asked the bank manager for 10,000 won. He went to drink on the edge of the pier while lamenting his sadness. Then he bought a rose because he could not bear the seller. But apparently the rose was attached to a black envelope with a red rainbow. Inside was a business card with the words December 24th, 12:30 p.m. Sky Building Floor 77. Then Gi-hun went to the luxury apartment. Arriving there, Gi-hun finds all Il-nam still alive. Gi-hun is completely shocked. However, the truth that is even more shocking is when he finds out that Il-nam is the main mastermind behind all of these games. Il-nam says that he makes a living from lending money to the other people. And now, he deliberately calls Gi-hun because he realized that Gi-hun hasn't spent the money he won. Il-nam asks how he is. as Gi-hun looks visibly suffering from guilty over everyone who has lost their lives in the game. Now, based on what Junho found in the archive, one can assume this game started in the early 19th. Since then, there was always been one winner, and that winner could either become a member of the staff of a game organizer like from Man, or be sucked back into the game. At the time, Ilnam as well as a number of his rich friends gathered together decide to find a more productive way with their money. With more money, they can set up the series of games. The VIP are actually in charge of the game, raising money against people like hoes. They created the game as a way to have fun. Gi-hun, who hears it, is quite disgusted. However, Ilnam quickly reminds him that 93% of people are willing to sign their contracts again, knowing exactly what they will want to get out of those games. That means they do it without forces. While the purpose of Ilnam's entry into the game, namely because he has a tumor on his head, which makes him not lifelong. In addition, Ilnam decides to join the game because he wants to feel the joy of interacting with other people, rather than just being a spectator and dying. Then Ilnam died and Gi-hun left him. Gi-hun plans to leave Korea. He straightened himself and colored his hair red. However, before leaving, he took Sebyok's brother and left him with Sang-woo's mother. Then, he left by leaving some money to Sang-woo's mother. On his way to the airport, he calls his daughter Gang-yu. Then he saw the same salesman who had invited him into the game. He was playing dakji with the poor guy outside, exchanging slaps and then give him some money. Gi-hun immediately chased after him, but the man had already climbed into the carriage and fled. Gi-hun walks over the poor man and takes his business card. At the airport, with angry, Gi-hun calls frontman and promises that they pay for what happened to him. Instead of getting on the plane, he turned around and walked away. Gi-hun is determined to fight back and end this game once and for all. The Squid Game movie Season 1 is over. The Squid Game film is still a hot topic, even viral on various social media. The Squid Game series has been the potential to be the most popular series of all time on Netflix. Behind the game is the Squid Game. It turns out that there is a valuable message that we can't learn. Persistence in solving a problem, caring for the surrounding environment even though experiencing difficult things, courage in stepping and never getting into debt even to the point of risking one's life. Okay guys, if you like our channel, support us with subscribe and turning on the bell, like, comment and share, so that you don't miss our next video and our channel can grow even more. See you guys.